Okay, hi everyone, happy Sunday. I just wanted to jump on and tell you guys a little bit more about my experience with psychotherapy with Kit in the last week. So a little bit of background is that I met Kit through work, and we connected because we, share an interest in this sort of mental health, astrology, spirituality, and just like general healing. So last week I actually went by to her office and chatted, and she said, okay, how about I give you a little taster and experience of the imagination walk, because when we last met we actually shared a short session over O cards. So O cards, to not digress and jump into it a little bit too much, is a set of cards that you pull, and then you exercise association and talk about how it relates to your troubles or your current situation. And even just having that short session with her I found really helpful, because it gave me a lot of clarity around my fatigue, my frustrations. A little background is that basically I've been experiencing major burnout. I was looking for alignment, I was looking for my purpose, and I've actually been circling around this issue for a while now through a lot of other means. So it was like tarot cards, or the blind spot deck, or any sort of guidance, even the transformation game. And basically all I got were the same answers back, that I need rest, that I need to be easier on myself, I need to play, I need to explore and give myself space to to try, to fail, to not be so hard on myself. And I'm slowly getting there, but I still feel like those answers were not hitting the core. It was advice that I already knew, or that, when you have advice that but you don't really listen, or you feel like you can't really exercise it. So that was the little background story as to where it was. But so when I met Kit, she asked me like, hey, so how are you feeling? I know last time we talked about you feeling exhausted and a lot of stress at work. So how about we go ahead and explore that through imagination walk. So what imagination walk is literally a walk in your imagination. So first, we establish a sort of intention. We establish the thing that we want to explore. So for me, that was my future, my path, and my current situation. So because we only had an hour, we decided to walk forward, meaning explore my future path. Because when you do this exercise, you can actually walk backwards, like not actually backwards, but look towards your past and your traumas and things like that. So we decided to walk forwards. And what that exercise entails is that you literally stand up. Kit will be your guide, and you will close your eyes and you take an imagination walk around the room. And you can walk anywhere, you can start anywhere. For me, I started with, she asked me, where do you see your ideal self being, and how can we walk towards that? Let's close our eyes and start walking towards that. And without going too much into details of my actual imagination, because I feel like that's not really the important part, it is what she noticed in my walk, right? So I was feeling constantly exhausted. I didn't want to do it. And very curiously, I only had one path. There were a lot of rules that I set for myself even in a boundless imagined scenario, right? Like people would fly or do magic, and for me, my most inner self was giving myself a lot of rules, a lot of traps. I was so realistic about the entire situation, and that revealed a lot about my mindset, a lot about my my inner world and how I put myself in a box. And as we got into it, there were more things revealed about my goals, my my shortcomings, and it dove really deep into my relationship with my inner child, and how through my parents I inherited a lot of expectations. And it's really curious and it's really amazing to me, because a lot of the things that was revealed seemed like things I already knew, but I didn't really know. Like my relationship with my mom, her relationship with her mom, and the struggles that they've been through, and my struggles, and how that sort of solidified a very restricting mindset for me, that was the root of my exhaustion. That was the root of my limitations that I set for myself. I put myself in a box, and like during that session, there was a lot of emotions that came out. I cried so much, and I felt a lot lighter. I released a lot of things. I understood a lot of things, and I truly found a way to forgive myself, to free myself, and to forgive the external expectations that was placed upon me that I inherited. Not to say it's my mom's fault or my parents' fault that they're bad parents or bad people. It's not really about that. It's not pointing fingers and saying like, oh, they did this and that's why you're fucked up. Like, it's not that. It's more about, because it might not be true, right? Like, their intentions and what they think they are teaching you as parents, it's gonna differ from how you yourself perceive it or interpret it, and things like that. So this whole exercise is really about you and your mindsets. And for me, how that is different from therapy is because you're not in a hypnotized state or anything. You're not, but you are really diving into some unconscious bias that you have, and to me, that's way more beneficial than, say, speaking to a counselor or a therapist, because that is still on a very conscious level. And when there's this conversation between you and the therapist, then you are a lot more aware of what you're talking about. Whereas doing something like this sort of imagination walk exercise, it's a lot more like you get the clarity after, and you're less self-conscious. And after, towards the end as well, we practiced some role playing between myself and my mother, and it was hard. It was hard to admit and try to come out of my mindset. It was hard to release my bias or certain rules that I set for myself. But and of course, I would continue this sort of exercise and therapy with Kit, and of course have other holistic healing modalities as well. But the point is, and what I want to share is that it was just a really, really helpful experience that I never ever thought I could get out of just a short hour walking around a room. You know, and I believe this is especially good for people who aren't very good at expressing themselves in terms of like, because a lot of people who spoke to me about trying therapy or you know, talking to someone, they're like, oh, I don't know what to talk about. Like, if someone asks me what my problem is, I don't know what to say. And the beauty of this is you don't really have to say anything. And I think that was mind-blowing for me. And I'm not trying to push a certain service or product on you, okay? Like, I never do that. And you know, like, if you feel like you are open to trying something like this, you want to see what's up, like, you don't have to be depressed to try it. I think most of us have some sort of borderline anxiety or stress, and for me, going through something like this gave me a lot of clarity and a great starting point that was different from therapy, because therapy were a lot of practical solutions to, you know, deal with anxiety or stress or ADHD or whatever in a very sort of clinical or practical matter, whereas this really loosened up something a lot deeper within. And yeah, so if that's something that you'd be open to try, then definitely reach out to her. Like, the prices are around the same as in-person therapy, but the thing is, I don't think you need continuous session, like even just a taster, or just go and chat to her, have a small like O-card session would be helpful to even like gain some clarity on your current situation and what you can do about it. She also does arts therapy, hypnosis. Yeah, so there are a lot of modalities for you to experiment and try to feel better, right? Like, I know a lot of people might be like, oh, yeah, you know, I'm fine. I'm not depressed. I'm not stressed. It's just the day-to-day life, and I get it. But, you know, I think everyone has something deeper within that's worth exploring, that really will free you. So, you know, try it out if you want. Yeah. If you've got any questions, feel free to DM me. I can totally, I mean, I'm not an expert. I'm not saying I have the answer to anything, but I'd be willing to just be a friend and like share my experience with all the things that I've tried, because I've tried a lot of things apart from medication, which is, you know, the last thing that I want to do. And I think I can deal with what I have without it. But yeah, feel free to reach out.